Now let's take a look at the large intestine. So the large intestine is the last portion of the alimentary canal or food tube. So the large intestine joins up with the last portion of the small intestine. So remember, we've got mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine. Small intestine is made up of three portions: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. Here's the ileum right here. Now, the ileum joins with the beginning of the large intestine. That beginning is called the cecum. And in between the two, there's the ileocecal sphincter. So it's a ring of muscles that forms a sphincter. Okay, so the cecum basically looks like a pouch, and off of the cecum is the appendix. And the appendix is useless nowadays. And there's some debate as to what it used to function as in the past, but currently in humans, it's useless. You can die at the ripe old age of 95 and still have your appendix, or at the age of 7 years old, you can have inflammation of the appendix called appendicitis, which is a true medical emergency. Because if the appendix bursts, then all the contents of that infected and inflamed appendix go throughout the peritoneal cavity, and it's a big mess. So you have to have an appendectomy, cut out the appendix prior to the rupturing. Okay, so anyhow, we go from the cecum to the ascending colon, goes up the right side of the patient. Remember, this is the patient's right, this is the patient's left in anatomical position. So we've got the ascending colon that goes in a superior direction along the right side of the patient's abdominal pelvic cavity. And then we have the transverse colon that goes from right to left. And then we have the descending colon, which surprisingly enough descends. And it comes down the left side of the peritoneal cavity. And then we have the sigmoid colon in the shape of an S here, the rectum, which holds the fecal matter, and then the anal canal and the anus. So the main jobs of the large intestine are to reabsorb water. If we didn't reabsorb the water that was in our chyme, that was in our digested materials that came from the small intestine, we would dehydrate very, very quickly. So the number one job is to reabsorb water and to form fecal matter or poo. And the last thing that happens is a little bit of digestion, but the digestion is primarily from the bacteria that live in your large intestine, the good bacteria that live in your large intestine. And in breaking down and digesting some materials, they end up helping to form vitamins, which we absorb. So basically, in a nutshell, the goal of the large intestine is to absorb water, make fecal matter, and absorb some nutrients in the form of like minerals or vitamins. Okay?